see Triumph have announced the Tiger Sport 800 then. That's great. But what is it? Let's have a look at it. Why is it going to make a much better tourer than the Tiger Sport 660? Let's have a look. Well, first of all, it comes in 4 lovely colours. Got to have a special colour for touring. Yeah, but it comes in black, blue, yellow and grey. Okay, they all look kind of nice. But what are the new features of this bike compared to, say, the 660? And obviously from these pictures here, the quick visual indicator is the exhaust. You've got a kind of traditional exhaust on the 800 and you've got the kind of stubby on the 660. I think that's quite a nice touch and that will differentiate it a bit. Well, some of the headline figures, it's an 800cc triple engine, 115 PS peak power and 83 newton meters of torque, 90% of which is available throughout the mid-range. So that's nice, built for touring, built for two-up, built for load lugging. Great, we don't need some peaky high revving thing as a tourer. What? I know it's a Daytona. You said this the last video. I don't have a Tiger Sport 800. They don't come out till March 2025. So cornering ABS and traction control, that's a biggie. We saw they just put that on the Trident, so yeah, it'd be a shock if it wasn't on this thing. Quick shift and cruise control are standard. Brilliant. Yeah, perfect for touring. Everybody's looking for bloody cruise control in these mid-range bikes and everyone's whinging like mad. It's funny, I did 2,700 kilometers around the Dolomites about a month ago. I didn't use my cruise control once. So sometimes I think cruise control isn't really that necessary, but look, it's a thing people seem to want. So it's great that it's on there. To me, the biggest upgrade of this bike over the 660 is the adjustable suspension. So we've got compression and rebound on the front forks and rebound on the rear shock, and we obviously have preload, but we have a remote preload on this one. And obviously it's remote preload because they're expecting you to change that preload. They're expecting you to change it because you're going solo. They're expecting you to change it because you're going 2-up. They're expecting you to change it because you might go solo with a pile of camping trip bags and everything like that. So that preload is there to get your shock in a reasonable part of its compression stroke. It's not there to make the suspension harder or softer. You can control that rebound of that rear shock with that adjustable, the adjustable rebound that they've added on that. That's perfect. What that allows you to do, you sit there, you go out and you know, I don't know why I keep touching this bike because it's not a Tiger Sport 800. What it allows you to do is go 2-up, load of bags, panniers, top box, whatever you like, and take the choppiness out of the suspension. That spring is a certain spring rate on that bike. Without having any adjustable damping, the more load you add, the more choppy that ride's going to get at the back end. So that will just allow you to take that choppiness out. So your pillion will thank you for it. You'll get a much better ride. You'll get a much more controlled ride. And if you do a nice, a couple of 1,000 kilometers on a trip, just that adjustable damping in the back will be brilliant. So in summary, we've got that new engine, larger capacity, cornering ABS and traction, shift assist and cruise control as standard, and that adjustable suspension. Oh, I missed one thing off. It's got a better front brake than the 660. It's robbed the brake off the front of the Daytona. And I have to say, I absolutely love this front brake on the Daytona. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a radial brake. It's a Triumph branded brake. I don't know who makes it, but J. Joanne possibly. But it's fantastic. I love it. Let's have a look at the weight of this bike. Physically, it's not much different than the Tiger Sport 660. Its wet weight is 214 kilos. The Tiger Sport 660 is 206 kilos. My Daytona 660 here is 201 kilos. And the old, good old Trident is 189 kilos. But what's interesting, on the Tiger Sport 660, that has a massive 223 kilo carrying capacity. That's incredible for a 660. So you can load that thing to the gunnels, and be a big heavy bloke like me, and you're laughing on that bike. The only thing that might put some people off are going, yeah, but it's only a 660, it's got to lug me and all my gear around and stuff like that. I want a bit more oomph out of it, and I want a bit more mod cons. Well, that adjustable suspension and the cruise control and all that is doing that for you on the Tiger Sport 800. The only penalty you pay for that is it's 214 kilos. So it's 8 kilos heavier than the Tiger Sport 660. I don't think that's too much. I don't think that's too much to ask. Considering the big engine, the big power hike, it's fine. The only thing we don't know about the Tiger Sport 800 at the moment is what its carrying capacity is. So the 660 is 223 kilos. It depends what they've done with that frame. it could possibly come out slightly less than the 660. But, you know, unless you're going two up with a couple of really big people, you know, I don't think it's going to be an issue. If it comes out at 210, 215, or still 223, it's going to be absolutely fine. That's loads. My GS, my stock 1250 GS, 2023 GS, its carrying capacity is 216 kilos. So Triumph have really pulled a nice one off on that Tiger Sport 660, and I reckon they'll go somewhere similar anyway on the 800. That's great news, great news. Going back to the dimensions of the thing, the Tiger Sport 800 has a wheelbase that's only, let's have a look, only 4 millimeters longer than the Tiger Sport 660. It's actually, it's actually 3 mils shorter though than my Daytona 660. So a little bit shorter than this in terms of wheelbase. So that just shows though that Tiger Sport 800 is a compact pocket rocket. I think it really is gonna. You've got a feeling when the journos start riding that thing, maybe before Christmas or in the new year or something like that, they're gonna absolutely love that engine on that bike. And why wouldn't those journos like it? Essentially, it's a stroked out 765 street triple motor in it, obviously changed and retuned for mid-range and torque and all that sort of thing, rather than a super revvy thing. All they've done is added 3 and a bit mil to the stroke, made the engine marginally taller. The bore's the same. It's definitely the 765 engine, manufactured, tuned differently. So it's going to be a well-proven engine and going to be an absolute cracker. Who do I think that bike's for? Well, you can't see young'uns being attracted to a Tiger Sport 660 or a Tiger Sport 800. So I think there's two things. It's people who are on their way up, who, you know, maybe aren't looking to get to the big bikes yet, and that's a good halfway measure. But I think more so people on their way down. I drive a big 1250 GS at the moment. Before that, I had a Tiger 1200, and they're big, heavy beasts. And you know, the older I get, the more I've got to lug these things around. I can definitely see myself downsizing to this kind of mid-range. And as cash gets tight left, right, and centre, I can definitely see a lot more people perhaps stopping at the 800-900 range and never getting up that higher range. But those people do want their creature comforts. And the Tiger Sport 800 is offering everything that people are asking for. The cruise control, everybody seems to want. You've got a quick shifter. It's amazing how much a quick shifter makes for an easy tour. It really is, especially when they're super light ones like you get on Triumphs. They're brilliant. As usual with Triumph, there's loads of options. I'd put the tank protector on for a start. And do you know what I'd put it as well? I'd put on the scrolling indicators because I think they're great. So the only thing I'll say about it is, look, it's a small framed bike. It's no bigger than the 660 really. The front end looks slightly bulked out just because there's a bit more plastics on the side, a bit more wind deflection. But essentially, if you put the two side by side, I think you'd struggle to tell them apart from a bit of the paint scheme and some minor differences on the front. I think it'd be a good bike that'll appeal to a certain type of person. It'd be an appeal to me, actually. I'd like it as a bike. The only thing I don't like about it is the bloody clocks, the dash. I hate those bloody clocks. I have them on my Daytona 660. I try not to look at them. They offend me. No, the Daytona 800, they have the My Triumph app as standard. The app is actually great on your phone. It uses Google Maps. That's brilliant and everything like that. But you get a tiny little screen on those dashes. That's the only downside, I think, of that bike. There's nothing else I don't like about that bike. It's going to be a really practical, comfortable, if you set the suspension right for yourself, and good enough powered bike for the weight of it is for going on great tours. I think it'd be a brilliant tourer. A great solo tourer loaded up with luggage, and even actually a great two-up tourer if you're not a big lump like me. So you might say, well, it's not all new. Well, the engine's, you know, fairly heavily modified to make it like that. They've modified the frame to get it in there. They're doing the same with what all bike manufacturers are doing. They're trying to make the most amount of models out of what they have. It's really expensive to develop new bikes. So developing an all new 800 with a different frame and a different this and a different that is just a complete non-runner when you're competing against Chinese and every other Japanese manufacturer and German manufacturer out there. I also think the Tiger Sport range look better in the flesh when you go in the showroom and look at them. And the photographs don't do them too much justice. All in all, I think the Tiger Sport 800 will be a great seller. No, it's okay. I'm not trading you in yet. No. Now you stay with me a little bit longer. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the 800? Would it be the sort of bike that would appeal to you? Do you think it's a decent price? Let us know in the comments. Or has it got far too much competition and it's just one bike in a sea of all sorts? Now, there aren't too many bikes out there with adjustable suspension and cruise control. But, you know, these could all pile on in the next couple of months and it'd just be lost in a sea of competitors. Tough business to be in. But I still think it deserves a spot. Can't wait to see the test rides. It'll be fascinating when they come along. Look forward to those. See ya anyway. I know it's not as pretty as my Daytona. I know that. But, you know, I'm not touring on that.